welcome back to my channel. Welcome to another video. Today we will be doing a full set start to finish. We're going to be doing a long nude and white set. So first I'm coming in with my cuticle bit. I already pushed the cuticles back and I'm coming in with my cuticle bit and I'm just using the bit to clean up around the cuticle area. If you're a person who struggles to get in the cuticles with the sanding band, I suggest for you to get one of these cuticle bits because it's going to help you to get in the cuticles and in the side walls as much as possible. So if you struggle with that, go ahead and get yourself a cuticle bit. You can search for it on Amazon. They have a lot. You have to just buy and try them out and see if you find one that you like. Now I'm coming in with my fine sanding band and I'm just gonna go from right to left. Always whenever I'm drilling, I start from the right to the left. And whenever you're prepping, you want to make sure you're using light feathering motions. You don't want to put too much pressure on the natural nail because you don't want to cause any friction. You don't want to damage the client's nail. And you want to always make sure that you're using a fine sanding band. Anything too coarse is going to also damage your client's nail. So now I'm coming in with my nipper and I'm just going to give my client a quick manicure. And I'm going from right to left. That's always my pattern and I stick to it. Whatever I'm doing, drilling or nipping, is always from the right to the left. And I always make sure I move my hands accordingly. That way I do not cut my client's cuticle. Now I'm gonna come in and what I do, I measure my tips, put them to the side, and then I come back and glue the tips on. So whenever I'm measuring my tips, I make sure the tips fit from side wall to side wall because you want your full strength. If the tip is too small, the tip maybe pop off or the nail might break easily. So if you have a bigger tip or a smaller, if you doesn't have a tip that fit exactly, if the tip is too big or is too small, go with the one that's bigger. That way you can come in with your hand file and you can shave the sides down. But you always want to make sure your tips are fitting from side to side. That way you get the full strength and your client's nail doesn't break easily from side to side. And also these are some square tips. I did not have any coffin tips because we are doing like a ballerina shape nails. So I could have used my coffin tips, but I'm out of coffin tips. So I'm just gonna use my square tips. These square tips are available on my website for purchase, so you can always use my code as well, Chelsea10, to save. These tips are amazing. They stick very fast, so I highly recommend these tips. So now I'm coming in with my KDS glue. I know a lot of people put the glue on the tip, but I put the glue on the client's nail and then I glue the tips on, because in the past when I used to put it on the tips, the glue runs down in the well or towards the tip of the nail. So I did not like that. So I just started putting the glue on the tip. So KDS glue, this is the best glue I'm using so far. I really like it. It's cost effective. So that's what I'm gonna keep using until I find something else. But I do like KDS glue. And then whenever I am done, I always come in with my scissors and I'm just gonna cut the client's nail to the desired length. I always make sure I show my client the length that I cut, making sure we're on the same page. And then I cut the pinky finger, then I line up each finger next to each other. That way all fingers are on the same length. So you want to make sure you're on the same length from the jump. This way you're going to save a lot of time in the end, so you don't have to go back trying to file it down for all the nails to look alike. So it's best if you try to get it as close as possible from the jump. That way you save yourself some time in the end. If you have a tip cutter, you can also use your tip cutter, But for me, I like the scissors. I could see what I'm cutting and it's way more convenient for me. I usually go ahead and just guesstimate the next hand based on what I cut on the other hand. But then I do go in and measure both hands, making sure they're on the same length as well. And whenever you're gluing your tips on, you want to make sure you don't add too much glue, because adding too much glue can flood the side walls. I know this might have happened to a couple of you guys before, where you add the glue on and it just runs down in the side of the nail. You don't want that, because you just prepped your nail. You just spent time cleaning out your side wall, your cuticles. So you don't want any glue getting in your side walls, because then that can cause lifting. So every step you take, it's important, and it's good to pay attention to the small details, because that's what's gonna make or break your set or the longevity of your nails. Now I'm coming in with my scissors again, and I'm just going to use my scissors to remove as much of the tip as possible, since I'm going to be doing a ballerina shape. But whenever I'm cutting with my scissors, I do not cut exactly at the shape. I cut close to the shape, and then I use my hand file and get the precision, because I don't want to cut and then I cut too deep on one side, or you know, I did too much. No, I gotta take the nail off. So whenever I'm doing this part, I make sure I don't cut exactly like at a ballerina shape. I just get the tip of the nail as close as possible to the shape where I feel comfortable, and then I come in with my hand file and I finish doing the final work. And now I'm coming in with my 100 grit hand file, and I'm just gonna go over these shapes, make sure that everything is looking nice and neat and ready for application. Whenever you're shaping, you want to make sure you hold the file up against the nail firm and file with like sturdy strokes. You can't just be like filing the nail like you're scared to file. You have to file the nail with confidence and look at your angle, making sure you're alternating from one side to the other, because you don't want to make the nail crooked. So whenever you're shaping, you want to make sure you keep switching sides, and you want to make sure you get the free edge off your nail. And whenever I'm done with my filing, I'm just gonna come in and blend the well of the nail. That's where the tip and the natural nail meets, and I'm gonna come in with my fine sanding band one more time, and then I'm just gonna blend the well. That way my application process is gonna be much smoother. Also, whenever you're blending the tips, you want to make sure you're not putting too much pressure on the nail, because then you don't want to cause any friction. You know, you probably drilling thinking, or you're just drilling the tip, but sometimes, you know, the tip is very thin, so it's easy to just start burning on the client's natural nail. So you want to make sure you're doing this very fast, and you want to make sure you're doing it with light pressure. And I usually do this around I would say 7,000 RPMs. I always come in whenever I'm done, and I make sure I dust the client's nails off. That way I have a nice clean nail bed to work on, because you know, you cannot apply acrylic on dusty nail. Just like how you come in and prep your nail, you need to spend time to make sure you remove all the dust from the nail. And then we're going to come in with our protein bond. This protein bond is from Young Nails, so I usually give this 2 coats. By the time I'm done with the second hand, I usually come back and put a second coat on the first hand. So I do give my bond 2 coats. And then we're gonna use this new nude that I have, guys. It's called Coverage Nude. I really love this nude. If you're looking for, like, I have several nudes, but they're kind of clear. So not clear, light color, but the Coverage Nude has like a deeper pigment to it, so it gives you like a better coverage. And also I'm going to be using this white. Is pretty new to the collection. It's not yet available, but it's called Coconut Milk. This white is amazing, y'all. It's not bright and it's not too light. You see that like silky color white? That's what it's giving. You guys are gonna absolutely love this white. It doesn't mess up in the cuticle area. You see sometimes, like, when you apply white, it's hard to get the stains out the cuticle, and it looks messy when you're done. This white does not do that. I absolutely love it. It's perfect for ombres too, because you don't have to struggle with blending your bead too deep, because the white is already kind of light. You still have to blend it, but it gives like a better transition when you pair it with the nude. So I absolutely love this white. So I place my first bead right where the tip and the natural nail meets. I blend that down to the tip of the nail, making sure I'm cleaning up the side walls, all of that stuff, because we just shaped the nails. We do not have time to come back and do all that extra filing. We shape the nail in the beginning, so we got to make sure we keep that shape. Then my second bead, I place it right in the cuticle area. I do not place this bead exactly in the cuticle. I place it just above the cuticle, and then I tuck it back in the cuticle. You want to make sure you're always cleaning up your side walls, because if you do not, you're going to have a hard time removing this acrylic in the end, and you can cause lifting as well, because whenever you're drilling, you have to make sure you seal the nail. So you want to make sure you don't have acrylic all over the client's skin. So I'm going to come in with a third bead, and I'm going to place that right back in the cuticle, because I noticed that the back end was looking a little bit thin, so I came in with another bead. There's no such thing as using too much acrylic or too much bead. You have to just keep adding acrylic until the nail look like how you want it to look. Even though you can say I do 2-ball method or 3-ball method, if when you apply those 2 beads or those 3 beads, if you feel like there's something missing and you have to come back, or you have to add something somewhere, you have to go ahead and use as many beads as it's gonna take to make the nail look good. Just one more thing, like when you keep adding acrylic to the nail, sometimes it's best, like if the nail is already looking too thick, just to leave it alone, because sometimes you just have to fix whatever dents that's there. You just have to fix it with the drill, because you can keep adding acrylic, then your nail is gonna get super thick and bumpy, like you're not fixing the problem. So if you already have a thick nail, but it's just not looking like flowing as smooth as you would like it to, try not to don't always practice coming in and adding acrylic trying to get it to look smooth, because then you can only be just adding more problem to it by making your nail extra thick, and you did not resolve anything. So if you see that your nail is already have a certain thickness, you got to just be like, okay, I have to stop right here, and I just know that I have some filing and detailing to do on that specific finger. But don't keep making the nail thick and thick and thicker, because that's gonna cause a lot of problem in the end to get all that product back, to get the product off. So on the middle finger, we're going to be doing a ombre. So I'm going to place that first bead right where the tip and the natural nail meets, and I'm going to make sure right in the back where I place the bead, I'm going to make sure that part is flat. Whenever you're doing an ombre, you always want to make sure that part of the acrylic is flat. That way when you come in with your nude, the white is not as see-through. So you have to blend the back of the bead. That way you cannot see the white when you place the nude over it. So you want to make sure that you blend the back of the ombre and you keep cleaning the sides up. So the second bead, I'm going to place it right in the cuticle area, and then I'm gonna tuck the bead back in the cuticle. Whenever you're doing an ombre, you want to try to work on the wetter side, because this is gonna make sure your transition is smooth. So I'm not saying your bead should be runny, but it should not be dry. It's better if you work with a wet bead than working with a dry bead and doing the ombre, because when you're doing the ombre, because you're not gonna have a smooth transition. And make sure you're always cleaning up your side walls. That way you don't have to fight with the drilling in the end, trying to get all that extra product out. You want to make sure you're using like tapping motions, very light. You don't want to pull all the products off. So whenever you're applying your acrylic, try to make sure you apply with a purpose all the time. Then whenever you're doing any type of encapsulated design, you want to make sure you put clear over it, because when you come in to drill the nail, you want to make sure you're not drilling exactly on the design, because that's going to ruin your design. So you want to make sure you use clear, and this clear is from Mia's Secret. I got it off of Amazon, so you can always check that out too. I will leave all the links in my description box for all the products used in this video. On the ring finger, I'm going to do a nude nail with gold flakes and white on the side. I chose to do a one ball method for this nail because I am trying to cut the side, do like a cutout on the side. You're gonna see. And whenever I'm doing a design like this, I try to go for a one ball. You don't have to do it, but I do it. And look at how like the products just melt. And when you have a good product, you can definitely get a one ball method down, because the product is just going to flow exactly where it's supposed to flow. So that's what I definitely love about these powders. The consistency is amazing. So then I'm just going to use my acrylic brush, and I'm going to wipe away the acrylic from the side of the nail, because I'm going to place white acrylic in there, but I make sure I clean it up as much as possible. That way, you know, we don't have too much nude going on. I did not use a cutter because we're going to do a flake over the line. So it was pointless to use a cutter to cut the nude just to get a extra precise. The line was precise, don't get me wrong, but if I wasn't gonna put the flakes over the white, I would have used a cutter, because then that's gonna give me a better look. But being that the flakes is gonna go between the nude and the white where the line is, I'm not gonna waste time to cut it. I just did it this way. You know, every time I'm doing something, I try to calculate my steps, just trying to see what makes sense and what's going to be more like the time is going to be more efficient. That way I can get done. So now I'm coming in again with coconut milk white, and I'm just going to place that right on the side of the nail, making sure I blend it. Whenever you're doing this, you kind of want to work with not too much of a dry bead because you don't want it to run too much. You want to make sure that you have the perfect bead for this part, because if the bead is too runny, then it's going to run all off the nail, and if it's too thick, too dry, then you can't really move it up and down the nail. So you want to make sure, like, but anyways, you can always come in and add more white wherever you want it, but I'm just saying. For the gold flakes, whenever I'm doing any kind of encapsulated design, I make sure I go ahead and I pre-do all of these things, so I don't stop in the middle of the set unless it's something that I make up on the spot. Then I'm like, let me throw some gold flakes in. But I did prepare my gold flakes because I know what I was about to do, so I did prepare my gold flakes, and this is going to help me to save some time. And this is the reason why I said I'm not going to use my cutter, because the gold flakes are going right over the line, so that would have been a waste of time. And of course, whenever we're done with applying our gold flakes, we have to come in with our clear and encapsulate the flakes. That way when we come in to drill, we do not drill directly on the flakes, because then you're just gonna remove the flake. So you want to make sure also you don't apply the nude too thick or the white too thick, because you have to bear in mind that you have to leave room for the clear acrylic. So whenever you're doing a design, you got to think of how many layers of acrylic you need to add. That way you know how much acrylic to apply and what you're working with, because then I didn't make the nude too thick or the white too thick, because I know I have to leave room for the flakes and I have to leave room for the clear. this is how the final results of the application looks. Everything is nice and tidy. I kept the shape of the nail, so now I just have to come back in one more time with my 100 grit hand file and sharpen the shape, making sure everything is nice and crisp. And whenever you're shaping, you want to make sure you get the underside of the nail, because sometimes the acrylic leaks on the underside and it changes the shape of the nail. So you want to always make sure you get in underneath the free edge and the side walls. Also, whenever you're shaping, especially for a coffin or a ballerina shape, you want to make sure you're holding the hand file exactly at a 45 degrees angle, and you want to make sure you keep changing and alternating. Well, I repeated myself, but yeah, you want to make sure you keep alternating because you don't want to make your nail crooked or none of that. So try to just switch sides as much as possible and make sure you're holding the file up against the nail. Don't tilt the file like towards the tip, but then it's not connected to the side walls. If you really want to get a crisp shape, you got to be able to see your file connecting from the side walls to the tip of the nail without you curving the hand file. That's how you're gonna get a perfect shape. And also, if you see anything like at the free edge that you need to clean up, sometimes you do need to come in with your file and just get like the tip off it. But you see, like, you have to make sure you're looking at your shape and see what needs to be done. Don't just have the file and just shaping away. You got to see exactly why you're filing that side, or this needs to go in some more, or just being practical, being precise about your work. And also make sure whenever you're filing, you don't take too much products from out the side walls, because sometimes when you're filing, you have the hand file all the way down the side wall and you end up eating out all the product. So you want to make sure the file is connected just above where the side wall starts to the tip. Don't hold it straight like alongside the lines of the nail. I'm definitely going to do another video, like a detailed shaping video that I'm making for you guys, and I'm gonna go so much in details about shaping, because I think with practice, you have to practice. Like if you're struggling with shaping, you have to practice a lot, and you just have to take the time out to see where you're going wrong and just try to work on your mistakes every day. It's not gonna come like overnight. You just have to keep practicing and practicing. Like, I can keep talking, but if you're not practicing this and trying to get it right, it's not gonna work. But I do have a detailed shaping video coming for you guys. Whenever I'm done shaping, I always make sure I turn the client's hand from the client's view. That way, if I missed anything, this is the time to fix it. So whenever I'm done shaping, I make sure I just flip the client's hand, making sure everything is how I want it to look. And whatever you see from this angle, 95% of the time, that's what the client sees as well. So you always want to make sure you're getting the angles right. And then you want to make sure your apex is looking good. This is how I judge my apex. So you can see like a dip, the apex rises and then it flows back to the tip of the nail. The apex should be the highest point of your nail. I'm going to come in with my medium drill bit, and I'm going to make sure my nail is nice and smooth, free from any bumps, free from any, like, you have to use this time right now to make sure your nails are extra smooth. And if you feel uncomfortable with using like a drill bit for like the most part, you can use the bit only to seal your cuticle area, and you can always use your hand file. You can even use your hand file for all the nail. But you want to try to practice how to use your drill bit, because this is going to save you so much time and it's going to save your hand all that pressure. So whenever I'm drilling, I go from right to left. That's my motion always. It's never left to right. It's always from the right to the left. Then I make sure my cuticles are nice and tight, nice and smooth. And whenever you're drilling your sidewall, the tip of the bit needs to be in the sidewall. Wherever you're trying to seal, that's where the tip of the bit is supposed to be. So if you're trying to get the right side, you should place the tip of the bit in the right side. And make sure you always have your pinky finger as a guide, because this pinky finger is going to keep your hand from sliding all over the place. It's really going to keep you stable. So you want to make sure you have your pinky finger resting on the client's finger or on your finger, whatever way you find that's more comfortable. But you always want to make sure your pinky finger is resting on something. That way you have like control over the drill. How I hold my drill, I hold my drill like I'm writing. I'm gonna do another video on that more in details, but I hold my drill like I am writing. So that way I have full control over the drill. You can't just hold your drill any kind of way. You have to find a way to hold your drill that when you grip it, you have control over it. And I find that when I hold my drill like I'm writing, I just have so much more control over the drill. So that's what I do. My big finger is always on the top of the drill. My pinky finger is always resting on the client's nail or on my nail. And that's how I keep the drill stable. And you always want to make sure that when you're drilling, you keep moving the drill, because you don't want the drill to start heating up and then you're going to cause friction. The client's nail is going to start burning, all that stuff. So you want to make sure you keep your drill moving. Whenever I'm drilling, my drill is usually, for this part, my drill is at like 19 to 22,000 RPMs. That's what I drill at. Now you can always drill at a lower speed if you're not yet up there with the drill, but that's the number, the range that I'm usually in, and it works for me. But you can always go down to like a 16,000. Take your time, and up the notch, up the notch, up the notch, until you get more comfortable with using your drill. always go and wash their hands, and then I get ready for my top coat. Guys, make sure you subscribe to my channel. Make sure you hit that like button. Why are you guys watching the videos and you're not liking the videos? Please make sure you give this video a thumbs up. Make sure you're subscribed to my channel and get this nude powder, guys. It's amazing. It's called Coverage Nude. It's gonna give you the perfect coverage for your ombres. If you're looking for a nude that's not so light, you can definitely go ahead and get this nude. And the white is not yet available, but it will be on the website very soon. Thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you guys for supporting 876 Nails. Like, I love you guys so much. If it wasn't for y'all, there would be no 876 Nails. So thank you for supporting. Thank you for all the good wishes, everything. Y'all are amazing. So until the next video, bye. See you guys next time.